Hello plant friends, this is Miro from Basic Plants and welcome to my channel. First of all, I would like to apologize for this Saturday's video. I'm sorry it wasn't up. It will be up this coming Saturday. I just wasn't feeling very well and I couldn't edit the video, but I'm sure that you didn't miss it all that much. Today I wanted to take a look at the Hoyas that I got from Sweden. You have seen all these Hoyas in the Hoya haul video from Sweden. I think that was around July 11th. They were actually potted on July 4th. So that video was a week late too because I'm just very good with schedules. That's not the point of the video today. I wanted to show you today how these Hoyas are doing. If you haven't seen that video, I decided to use a new mix for Hoyas. I have never used this mix before for Hoyas, but I have used it on my orchids and this mix worked really well for them. What is the mix? It is bark, sphagnum moss, and perlite. And all the Hoyas were potted in net pots that are used for hydroponics, and they are in cover pots. It may have seemed odd to some of you that I used moss in that video because we all know that if we overwater our Hoyas, they will most certainly rot. And we also know that moss has this great capability of holding on to moisture. And in fact, I think it can hold up as much as 18 times more than its volume. So that is a great capacity for holding moisture. But if you don't compact moss too much, there will be a lot of air there, so you will have air and moisture. Anyways, enough of the chit chat. And let's take a look at the Hoyas I potted back then. Are they still alive? How are they doing in this mix? Did I make a mistake? I tend to make mistakes. Was this one? Let's dive in. I did forget that I have some Hoyas that are not from Sweden, but I will show those too because I also potted them in that video. This is Hoya mitrata, and it hasn't really done all that much. I do see between one of the nodes, I see something that might look like a starting point of a new vine. So I am hoping that the vine will start growing soon. If we take a look at the pot inside, we can see that the bottom part is still moist and maybe a bit towards the middle. And it's because I just watered this, I think, this Sunday. And if we take a look at the bottom, we will see that there are roots coming out on the bottom. I don't think this Hoya had that an extensive root system, so it's great to see that she has rooted all the way to the bottom. The next one is the popular Hoya gonungating. Very clearly I can see two growth points on this plant. I do think it had one growth point down below and I don't really see what happened with that one, but I do see that I will poke my eye out. Let's just check the root system of this plant. So I don't see any roots on the side, it seems, but I can see some roots on the bottom. So that is great that we can still detect some roots on the bottom. There is a bit of water here, but that's okay. It will be soaked up by the moss and distributed, and it actually kind of helps because it's very hot now and it makes it also easy for me. I don't see any rot at all. If this was wrong, I would see some rot by now, but no. Apparently all the roots are growing very nicely. Another one of those bigger Hoyas is this Hoya elliptica from a friend, and I think she will be very pleased to see it does have a new vine. It's grown very nicely and has two tiny baby leaves. Hoya baby leaves are the best. So I think she is loving this setup. And if we take a look on the sides, we can see there are a lot of roots already on the side of the pot. I don't see any roots on the bottom yet. We do see some, but they're very small. But most of the roots that I can detect are on the side of the pot. Now I have all the small Hoyas from Sweden, and I keep them all together just in this plastic because they tend to tip over, and I still didn't order the pots that I was supposed to as cover pots. Let's just take a look at Hoya Corolla. This Hoya grew a new leaf here. I just watered these. These need more water because they're obviously in smaller pots. But if we just take a look here, we can see a lot of the roots are coming out on the bottom, which is great to see. Another Hoya that is very dear to me is Hoya endawensis, and it did grow here a new vine, new leaves, just right here. They were super tiny tiny and they're getting bigger. I don't see any new growth points besides that one. I'm only able to detect that one. I do see a bit of roots down there at the bottom. This one wasn't water propagated by me. It already arrived in just a tiny bit of moss. If I had to redo something, I would probably put it in water or in pure moss just to get more roots before I put it in this mix. Another small Hoya is this Hoya Patellata, and I do not see any new growth points. I do see something here, but I'm not, to be honest, sure if that's a new growth point or not. But I do see some roots on the bottom, which is excellent. This is Hoya, I think Hoya Flagellata. I do see a new vine here. I just noticed this today. We did get a bit of yellowing with this leaf. I'm not quite sure why that happened. Maybe it was too close to the light. And if we take a look at the roots, I do see some roots here on the top. Not a very extensive root system. Now let's talk about Hoyas that are not in that mix and are from Sweden. I have here Hoya Cortesi. It's a very tiny Hoya. You can see the roots are still there, still active. I don't see any new growth coming from this plant, and I don't see any roots on the side of this see-through pot, so it just needs probably a bit more time to root. There are a couple of cuttings that are in water. They need to be repotted right away. This is Hoya rotundiflora. It has a very nice root system and it really needs potting, and I'm out of mix. And another one that has quite surprised me is this Hoya species Philippines. I think this bottom part is not probably rotten. I might cut some of that off. But it has pushed out a new leaf here. I'm not going to touch it, but it's a new leaf and a new vine. Two Hoyas had a very bad time with shipping, so I had to put them in semi-hydro. Now it's a good time to take a look at them. This is Hoya Waimanier. It does have a tiny bit of node there, so it's not just a leaf. And we can see that it did root. This goes to show that I really think semi-hydroponics is a great way for plant rescue. This one is Hoya species SR 2009-005. Again, it does have a bit of a tiny node there. I'm trying to keep it uncovered. I don't know if it will work, but it does have some roots there coming from the node, not from the leaf petiole. Let's take a look at Hoyas from the different collector that is not from Sweden. The Hoya that stood out the most is this Hoya Aleona. You can see it pushed a very big new vine here. All of that is new growth from July 4th. The roots are all over the place. I can see roots on the bottom of the pot. I can see some roots on the side of the pot. Pretty sure that the ID is not correct, that it's not Hoya Aleona, because I cannot find anything about that Hoya except on Ulig's website. So I will have to wait for the flower to see what Hoya this is. Nonetheless, it's very beautiful. The foliage is very beautiful and it is doing very well. Another Hoya that I'm very happy to report is doing really well is this Hoya Cressada, the variegated form. It has produced a new leaf that is very interesting. I thought that the variegation will be just on the outer sides, on the outer edge or on the margin, as with the older leaves, and you can see now that the variegation on the older leaves is not very visible. And this leaf is still developing, but we can see there is more variegation in the middle. There is some on the outer edge. So I'm hoping that with each new leaf, the variegation will become better and better. We can see the roots are also doing really well. I can see some roots on the bottom, and I can see roots on the side of the net pot. This is Hoya Fungi, and we did lose one leaf here, and I think I didn't water it in time, or maybe I was just messing with it too much. I did get these two new leaves here, and I'm waiting to see a new vine push out. So it's still doing well, I think. Ooh, wow. I can see this one has a lot of roots on the bottom. It is really enjoying. Hoya Viola is one of the Hoyas that also did well. It produced one new leaf, and now I can see another new leaf coming. The leaf is very beautiful. It has this very peculiar shape to the leaf, almost as if it's going to be heart-shaped, but then there is this tip, the point. I can see the roots on the side of the pot, on the bottom of the pot. We can see roots coming. The last one, of the big Hoyas is Hoya Archboldiana. I'm happy to say it is producing a new vine right here, and the roots are looking really well. Some of the leaves are curled to the bottom, but it did produce a new leaf here up on the top. This is a new leaf. If we just gently take it out of the pot, we can see the roots are coming on the bottom, some roots on the side. So it's doing really well. I should really water it more. So, Hoyas hate moisture. Awkward. They love moisture. It's the mix that is the issue. It seems to me that they are really enjoying this setup. And they're growing much faster than the Hoyas I previously rooted and that I'm growing in a regular mix of bark, cocoa peat, general potting mix, perlite, which is a well-draining mix. Really, the water just really drains well. What is the point of this video? Well, the point of this video is really to change maybe the viewpoint on Hoyas. A lot of people view Hoyas as cacti, and Hoyas and cacti are not the same. Cacti and Hoyas do not even live in the same place. I'm not sure why Hoyas and cacti are put in this same category when we care about our plants. I have seen that people pot Hoyas in cacti mix. I have seen that people water their Hoyas once or twice a month, and none of those things are something that Hoyas naturally experience. Many Hoyas are actually epiphytes, so that means that they grow attached to the side of the tree. If you put them in a cacti mix, which is a mix meant for terrestrial plants, it will not be something that they are accustomed to. There is a lot of clay and a lot of sand in cacti mix, or in the ones that I have seen, and you don't find clay or sand on the side of the tree, do you? Therefore, whenever potting Hoyas, just think about that. Is it epiphytic Hoya? Do I have enough air in this mix? That means you may need to water more, and that is perfectly fine. They do go through dry period in their native habitat, but there are also periods where you have daily rains, and they are able to stay alive. So your mix really needs to be very airy for that. I cannot really give you the long-term review of the setup, and I still don't think you should change any of your Hoyas to this setup unless, you don't want to blame me. They have been in this only about a month, but they are showing great signs of new growth. I do need to water them more. The small ones I can water almost every other day. The bigger ones, they can go once a week, but I can water them twice a week freely. I hope you enjoyed looking at all of these Hoyas and how they're doing. They're doing quite well. They say hi to you, they are greeting you, and they also want to thank you for watching, as well as me. I thank you for watching, I thank you for subscribing, for leaving your comments. I love to read and reply to them. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. Hope you're having a great day. I will see you again on Saturday. Bye! That was awkward.